Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do another episode of Jess Reviews Comics, and this is the first time that it's been called that specific name. I've done this before in the past, but mostly in vlogs. I wanted to do it in my usual style of review, although it will be different to when I'm reviewing a film or a TV show, mostly because I'll be talking about a couple of comics at once. And I bought a bunch of stuff. I met a lot of amazing creators, writers, artists, just amazing people who make and sell and just live and breathe comics, which is my type of people, let's be real. And I wanted to do a video reviewing all the stuff that I bought, just talking about them, not in the official review sense. I just wanted to share with you why I love them, what makes them great, what makes them unique. And yeah, I just thought of turning this into a series where I talk about indie creators and indie comics and just share what I love, because I think that can be a really great way of promoting the industry and promoting all this amazing original content out there. As much as I love, my superhero comics, I do read a lot of them. I think it's good to kind of uplift other creators and the community, because that's how we're all going to grow. And the reason why I'm doing this video so late, even though it is an MCM haul video, it's because I'm a really slow reader, let's be real. This is gonna be the first half of the stuff that I picked up, like the shorter single issue type stuff. I also bought a bunch of graphic novels, so full volume books, so to speak. And that's going to take me a little longer to go through, but that means you'll have more content to wait for. And yeah, let's just get started. So the first series that I wanted to talk about is this series called Necropolis, and the full title is Necropolis: The Unusual Death of Elliot Finch. And I'm going to just show you these covers. They're very cool. What I love about this book is that it's about the London underground system. So Elliot finds himself dead, and I don't know if he's actually dead, so that's kind of like a mystery. So he ends up in the underworld, and the people of the underworld are kind of confused as to why they're there, because technically he never died. So you shouldn't be here, you are alive and you are immortal, you're a human. So what are you doing here? That's the big mystery of the book. And the fact that this book uses the London Underground, also known as, our railway system here, and centers its whole universe around it is just really cool to me. I love the idea of living cities, metaphorically and literally. I like stories that have that kind of sub-layer to a real place. For example, John Wick. So his universe is very similar to our universe. So he lives in New York, in the Continental, but there's an underworld of assassins that the normal human eye cannot see. Normal people aren't aware that this is happening. So this series, this story, very much takes place in a universe similar to that, where things are very much like our world, but there is something quite literally going on underneath the surface. And this series is just super interesting. The creative behind it is Patrick Warren, and I'll put links to all the books that I talk about here, the comics, the books. I don't know, I keep on getting them mixed up in my head. I know they are, they have its own name, but whenever I have a piece of paper bind it together in my hand, I just instinctively call it a book. So anyways, if you like ghosts, the underworld, secret hidden worlds beneath our regular one, and if you like big cities and mysteries, I think this is a great book for you. I just did it again, didn't I? Anyway, moving on, the second stall person that I met at Comic-Con is Matt Garvey. I followed him on Twitter before the con, so I kind of knew he was going to be there, and when I went to the stall, I met him, very lovely man, and he had comics that were really up my alley. He had a whole collection of stuff that he's written and that he's made, so big backlog for you who want to check out his work. But the ones that caught my attention was the Aether, which has an amazing cover, and especially the back. I love this. This is like a classic movie poster, very spooky. Traditional horror thriller vibes in it, and it kind of contrasts really nicely to the sleek, clearly very modern art in the front. And the artist behind this comic, as well as this comic that I picked up, so they're by the same person, is Dizavez. And this is amazing. The Aether is, well, he pitched it to me as like this unusual superhero story, and I agree, it is quite unusual. Again, with the London themed stories, I am really digging getting to know British culture a little bit more. I know I've been living in Bristol for 3 years before I moved here, but the fact is, when you're kind of like an undergrad student, you're kind of in that university bubble. And as an international student, I didn't really get to go out and explore much, but I can say that art and writing was one of the ways that I really engaged with the wider community. Like, I went to a lot of spoken word events for poetry, so that was a nice way of hearing people's stories, directly from and by the people who's living there, which is what you should be doing anyway. If you're living somewhere, you should get to know the people who you're living with, like the community that you're supposed to be a part of. Be a part of a community. And the Aether is kind of like that. So the superhero, the Aether, wears a mask of London on their face. And it's kind of hard not to think of Watchmen when you have someone like with a full mask on your face and a suit. So you do get that kind of crime, how do you say it? It's like the type of character who wants to take matters into their own hands. The vigilante character, but the vigilante character with a very strong sense of justice, perhaps, to certain extremes. So it's quite violent, but not in any way that would be excessive to this type of story. So I think Watchmen is a good tone to follow before I blabber on and say too much. I did order the second issue of this, and it's somewhere in my pile of deliveries. I ordered a bunch of comics last week on eBay because I don't know if you saw the article of the man who sold his collection of like 30,000 comics because he got a heart attack and he wanted to explore the world. And it's really sad, but then there were a lot of comics on sale on eBay, and I have stacks of packages and I'm too scared to open them. Like, I feel like if I open one, I have to open all of them. So I've put that on hold for now. And the other one is called White Noir. So same team, Matt Garvey and Dizavez. And this has a beautiful cover, and just the artwork in both these comics are incredible. The lighting and the coloring especially, I adore. There's a lot of that very luminous contrast, especially in this one. So you see this spread, this page, you get like the white snow, that's very monochrome, and then you get like the amazing neon lighting, very John Wick, all the blues and the reds and these strong and sharp primary colors being used, and the contrasts are just so good. This one especially has a very scenic and atmospheric vibe. Not that the Aether does not, because it's a very different type of atmosphere. So White Noir is about a man who finds himself, he wakes up in a car crash in the middle of the snow. I don't know where he is. He's just in the snow. And there's a mystery, so he goes to his nearest town and the cops find him and he has to get patched up by someone. And the fact is, no one really knows who he is, how he got there, and he kind of remembers fragments of what happened. And even though it starts out very like true crime detective, flashbacks, what's going on in the beginning, it really picks up at the end when all the pieces start coming together, and you can tell that we're in for a ride. This one is much more of an exploration about relationships, and I really love it because it's so honest. And more than the previous two, this one really does paint a picture with its images, if you know what I mean. I think comics are a very flexible medium. You can go either way. You shouldn't ever be too text heavy because the images are obviously the main focus of the story, and that's the main method of storytelling, but you can have a substantial amount of text or dialogue, all that stuff, but you can also go the other extreme and just have no text, no dialogue, and it still works beautifully. And the fact is, with this comic in particular, the dialogue is very sparse, which I actually love. It kind of gave me an exercise in like visual narratives and visual reading. Visual literacy, that's what it's called. I was trying to figure out, some parts really caught me, and it really made me think. So the story's about a couple, and the man asks Marlowe, our protagonist in the comic, if he can see inside her head. And Marlowe has these very wild, surrealist, metaphoric dreams, and she kind of takes him through all these dreams and shows him, essentially, how she feels on the inside about certain things, and he doesn't always understand them, just as the readers might not understand them at first, because as she says, it's a metaphor. It's kind of like the recurring line in the comic where he doesn't really get it. She shows him this one image of like some sloth walking somewhere, and he's like, what's happening? Or like her sitting alone in the middle of a lake on a chair, and he's just like, I don't get it, why is it raining? And she's just like, it's a metaphor. And what you get is this really honest, really touching, like I said, and it's very heartfelt as well. So if if you're interested in this kind of stuff, and if you want something to kind of explore, expand the mind a little bit, I would definitely recommend this, and it might help you be a little more honest with yourself as well, because when you're communicating with someone, sometimes it is hard to find the words. You don't always want to tell them exactly how you feel, especially when it comes to past stories, past struggles, traumas, difficulties, all that kind of stuff. And if only you could show someone just inside your head, no matter how weird or seemingly random it might seem, you can paint a picture with your own mind about how you feel. And I think that's the brilliance of and the wonder of comics, and that's why I'm such a big fan, and I'm always so in awe of artists who can portray all of these different emotions using visual language and to make it beautiful as well. Just look how absolutely gorgeous the art on this is. Like, look at these pages. I am in love. Yeah, and even the spread of the front and back cover. I'll definitely be checking out more stuff by Akira T, because I just think this is brilliant and I need more. I need more now. Alright, so that is my physical set done. I wanted to talk about 2 more comics that you can find online, and you can read it for free on either on Tapastic, which is like this webcomic site, or on the creator's own profiles. I'll put in links to everything in the description box below. But even though you can read it for free, I would recommend you to make a donation or purchase it on Gumroad. So you can buy the comic for as much as you can afford, basically. You can give $5, £5, £10, 20, as much as you want and you can afford, and I think that's a really nice way of showing support to independent creators who put in a lot of time and effort into the work that they make, which is also why I'm always happy to kind of share their work on my social media, and also a reason why I am doing this video series right now, because they deserve the credit. So today I just read this webcomic called Jazz Orcs, which is really incredible and a concept that is just so good. I kind of wish I thought of it, but I didn't, because I'm not that smart, because I love jazz and I love orcs and I love these types of stories when you have a band, a band of characters that go on their own adventure. And these orcs, they're very good orcs. They're very sweet. They have dreams. They want to become jazz musicians, but all the cities that they've been in so far have not appreciated their music. They're getting kicked off stage, they're getting booed, they're getting things thrown at them, and you kind of get the sense that they're ahead of their time. They haven't quite found their audience yet. But this is where the adventure begins. You get to see these orcs kind of trying to figure out what they need, what kind of exposure, what kind of people they need to find who will appreciate their work. And you're really rooting for them, you want their dreams to come true, you want them to play jazz in the biggest hall, on the biggest stage, and you wish them all the best of success. So, to Jazz Oryx, I will definitely be keeping my eye on this series, and I cannot wait for more. And last but not least, I wanted to talk about a comic from a person that I know and cherish and love and support. Her name is Osa Naomi, and she is one of my artists for my webcomic Rosanna. But we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about her original comic Bog Queen. And she has a love for salamanders, lizards, any and every reptile you can think of. She's a huge fan of like Godzilla, Komodo dragons, because who isn't really? But what I love about her work is that she really animates the hell out of these reptiles. Like if I ever wanted a story about sentient snakes, about like some reptile kingdom, War of the Reptiles, wouldn't that be great? Or even better, like a sitcom. A sitcom where like the snakes and the lizards and the crocodiles and the salamanders, they're all kind of getting along and living in an apartment in New York, which is far too expensive for them to afford. I would hire Osa to draw it. She's a great storyteller as well. Bog Queen tells the story of this girl who walks into the forest and she meets this lizard. And this kind of takes place at various stages of her life, and this lizard kind of gives her like sage, very vague advice about life, and it seems to always come when she needs it. But she always seems to be coming back for more, and there's this feeling of dissatisfaction and kind of like she's searching for something. She's searching for this divine thing to tell her what to do with her life, as a lot of us can relate with. You know, I think as much as we grow throughout our years, and as much as we might take certain advice and implement it in our lives, we're always changing and we're always seeking for more. Because life happens, so that you're never feeling quite satisfied and you never feel like you're there yet, you know? You never reach a goal. You reach a goal and then you move the signpost. That's not the word. You move the goalpost. Of course that's the word. So Bog Queen kind of addresses that in a very spooky, supernatural type of way. And at the very end, stuff goes down and stuff happens to this girl. If you take too much advice from Lizard and you keep on coming back for more, something's gonna happen to you, and that something is very cool, very scary, very spooky, and it's incredible. So I would definitely encourage you to read Osa's stuff, not just Bog Queen, but literally everything else she makes. It's amazing. Her Twitter is always poppin' with great art. So yeah, that is it from me for today. Let me know if you have any indie comics that you're reading. Feel free to recommend them, you know, in the comments below. I'll check them out. I'll try to read as much and as fast as I can. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, and hope to see you very soon. Goodbye!